what the idea of meaninglessness is to you, only you can define. It is something that only you know how it feels within your own body and when you experience it. What we've come to over the last days, the 13 days of lessons before, is bringing us to recognize that any place of emotional upset comes from a sense of feeling separated, of feeling deeply alone. And we are slowly starting to rewire our brains to create enough space that we can see and recognize we always have access to deep, deep truth and love. Love being truth, and that we are never actually separated. Welcome to day 14 of ReWired. We're really starting to get into it now. If you haven't already felt uncomfort in any of these ideas, I'll be surprised. These are not easy to come to terms with, but what I really, really want to keep reiterating and keep telling you is that those emotions coming up, that is good. Being present with them, allowing them, not shaming them, they're wayfinding signs for us. They are the little glimmers of lights opening up into your neural pathways to see other ways of seeing, to recognize what is from a place of deep truth versus from the stories we've created for protection and survival, or that we've inherited from the society or family or other places around us from generations in our DNA and otherwise. We're actively changing that. When you feel that moment of tingling throughout your body, just for a brief second, feeling into what that activation is for you. How is that actually changing your cellular memory from the inside out? We have to go through the uncomfortable piece and allow it to be present in order to shift and change. As we go deeper in today, we are starting to tap onto an area that may feel like a relief if you have grown up in a environment that had a God that was vengeful. Now, it also may start to make you uncomfortable if you come from that environment or otherwise, because we may have ideas come up that feel like what we always learned is not the truth. And that can be really hard. So I want to, for those of you who may feel that resistance, I see you. It's okay. My encouragement for you is to build a bridge to the idea. Now, this is a tool you can use in almost anything when it comes to creation and manifestation. Sometimes we need to build a bridge to the belief. The tool is adding a phrase in front of any belief that you're having a lot of resistance to. It could be possible. It could be possible that. And any of these phrases, this is something you can add to the front of it. So in any case of really deep resistance, this bridges the neurological gap. It opens the mind just enough to allow the idea to take a little seed and plant, opening up the potential, the space to see differently, to see beneath the layers that have been created, not just in your lifetime, but over generations of storytelling. So I also want to bring forth what I started to mention yesterday, that I will be using God, but I encourage you, if that is something that is uncomfortable for you or does not resonate, to find a word that you can feel good about. And again, that can just plant the seed for you in connection to these ideas. Okay, for those of you who are analytically minded, I want to bring forth a idea that may help you with this concept of God, or just any of these beliefs, ideas, pieces that you may constantly be going to your analytical mind needing proof for. And that is a philosophical argument called Pascal's wager. This argument was developed by a physicist, mathematician, and theologian in the 17th century as a reason for why we should believe in God. He used probability theory to essentially come to the conclusion that we should consider believing in God, because if it's true, then we have infinite gain. And if it's not true, in the end, we only have finite losses. Now, this idea can be taken advantage of in religious settings where the fear starts being introduced, the vengeful God starts being introduced in order to take power back over you and convince you to give your power away. Now, because we are focused on coming to a place of grounded sovereign power, we can use this idea to support yourself in allowing these seeds to grow. And you can honestly use Pascal's wager in any viewpoint of anything, alongside a few other concepts, which I'll introduce in future lessons, where you can bucket out what to believe and what not to believe. The first one, that is really a core basis of a three-legged triangle, is the idea that we need to weigh. What happens if I could believe this? If it could be true, what is the gain versus the loss? And in the case of God, in the case of a universal energy, you could argue that believing that it could be true has far more potential gain if it is true than the loss if it's not true. Something to consider. I'll include a resource speaking about this entire idea in the philosophical argument. So if you'd like to dive deeper into it, you're welcome to. And now to introduce the idea. Today in lesson 14, we are introducing the idea that God did not create a meaningless world. And we're bringing forth the idea that what is meaningless is not real. That it's created in your mind and not out in the world. For me, this is one of the ones that also starts to get difficult, because I really believe in collective liberation. So I remember in these practices that I am doing little moments of rewiring. This is not the long-term idea. We're planting seeds for the end rewire that gets us fully stable from the root up in sovereign power, in life force energy, in connection and co-creation. So we bring in the idea of Pascal's wager. We bring in the idea that it could be true. It could be true that God did not create a meaningless world. It could be true that God did not create this war, and so it is not real. It could be true that God did not create that airplane crash, so it is not real. It could be true that God did not create those fires, so it is not real. It may be easy for you to connect to the first part of the phrase. It's the second part of the phrase where the uncomfortable emotions come up. Remember, that's part of this. The uncomfortable emotions need to arise because they exist within you. If we ignore them, if we tamp them down, if we don't acknowledge those shadow beliefs and those shadow behaviors, they will continue to drive you. So wherever the uncomfort is in any of these practices, allow them to arise. Be present with them. Don't shame them. Notice them. It is okay. So I want you to take a moment and connect your body to the ground. Breathe deeply into that place, feeling the breath fill your entire body. As you get comfortable where you are, sending your breath down to the locations where you're connected to the ground, feeling the weight of your body in those places. And allow yourself to slow your out breath down so that you are releasing twice as fast as you took your breath in. Allowing yourself to relax your throat, your tongue, taking that deep breath in, connecting to the location you're connected on the ground, and slowly allowing your breath out. Closing your eyes and allowing your mind to go to the places that feel like they could show you a meaningless world, a painful world, a difficult world. And allowing these ideas to pop up without judgment, without shame, noticing them and recognizing God did not make a meaningless world, so these are not real. Using this phrase along with each one of the ideas that come to your mind, God did not make this, so it is not real. Doing this only for about a minute before you allow your mind to release. And know that this can be used on anything outside yourself or the things that you may be afraid could happen to you or your family. Do not use general terms like God did not create cancer or heart attacks or illness. Be specific and allow the specific things to come up to your mind. I appreciate you for showing up. I appreciate you for being willing to open the door and plant the seeds to these ideas. You showing up each one of these days is what will start to change the world. Inner peace for world peace. Sovereign, grounded energy and power creates the ability to use your privilege for good in collective liberation. I'm here for you. Thank you. And if you have stumbled upon this video or audio somewhere out in the world, I'm your guide, Jamie O'Connor. This is ReWired, 365 days of daily practices to connect you to your most powerful inner self, to create and be with co-creation and rewire your brain for miracles. If you're interested in joining me and getting a daily practice, please don't be afraid to go to inspiredfocus.link/rewired. For just a small amount of money, you can get that daily practice for a year in your inbox, and there'll be opportunities for accountability. Thank you for joining me. See you tomorrow for day 15.